BLOCKCHANCE 2021.
My name is Armin. I'm head of solution delivery at Adhara, and I'd like to take you with me on the path to real-time treasury today. So at Adhara, who are we? Our three founders combine a pretty good combination of innovation, product development, and tech development. Julio was head of innovation in Banco de Santander. Ed did lots of Deutsche Bank product development. And Pete was involved in the project COCA. The project COCA was doing central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, with the South African Central Bank and 7 banks affiliated to it. This project COCA actually evolved around some corners into the project Finality, which I will speak a little later. So what are we doing at Adhara? We do central bank digital currency. So it's actually very simple. We build private blockchain networks, and we provide a central bank instance, not issue, instance. On that instance, you do have an omnibus account where you put fiat money, and then the issuer or the central bank instance issues money onto the blockchain, which is represented by the fiat money you put on the omnibus account. You have then also participants who are participating and can then trade and deal with the money, and not even the money. You can also put any other asset on this network. So who would be our customers? We have network operators if you want to put money on your network and operate with money on your network. We have, of course, central banks, as we just spoke about. Central banks would issue CBDC currencies, and then they do the interbank transfers with this. You have corporates via banks. If you are a corporate distributed among different countries, you can do payments with it. And you also have commercial banks. If you have a consortium of banks getting together and issuing consortium money, you can also trade assets within on this network. So why did we come up, or how did we come up with the idea of Adhara? I mean, there is inevitable a need of digital currencies in the market, and we also have the technology much more available, so it's easier to access, and with the concept of blockchain underneath, you can create completely new services. If you think of $1 on a blockchain or on this blockchain, you can give the dollar also some attributes. So it's basically a programmable asset. And with a programmable asset, you're able to do completely new workflows, and you can develop completely new business models. So what would be the business models or what are the new concepts or the things you could do? First is you can do real-time monitoring of your payments. You see online and in real time, for example, coming payments in and out. You can borrow money within seconds. What took before quite long happens then within seconds with a mouse click, more or less. You can borrow money from other participants on the network. You can also do dynamic FX pricing. That means if you have $1 and you need a British pound, you just go on the network, find someone who provides that, and then you have it within seconds. So I have a little bit of water in between. What is the actual problem we're trying to solve? You can see here a treasury of a bank or parts of a treasury. So you can see there is accounts, Nostra and Vostra accounts, payment schemes, so where you have to distribute your money. You have to deal with ethics and money market, and there's also regulations coming in. So this field of business is very fragmented. I mean, what you look at it is you have many different systems in different time zones, producing different sets of data, and this is all what you have to put together. For example, if we take liquidity management, so in liquidity management, you manage your liquidity during the day. So what you usually do is you get different data from different sources, from different sites, and then put it together and make a plan for the day. So, for example, if you are a bank in Europe and you have subsidiaries in New York and in Shanghai, then you take data from Shanghai, from Europe and New York and put it together for your planning during the day. So that makes, or that comes up with one question is like, when is it available? So if you have many systems and they have to go through the systems and they have to be processed through the systems, you only get data available at a certain time. That means Shanghai has its data available in the morning. New York has data available on its morning, and Europe has also data available on its morning. So that's completely different time zones, and you only be able to adapt, for example, cash flows from the day before. So if you establish then a blockchain network where you can trade all these assets in real time, you basically do this. You have this very complex landscape on the left-hand side, and you make it to a very simple landscape to the right-hand side. The beauty of it is that it really is online. I mean, if we think of the situation I just said or just described before, where we have the bank in Shanghai and you have the bank in Europe, then, for example, if a cash flow comes in Shanghai, you will be only able to use this cash flow a couple of days later. That means you might be able to see it, because there are concepts out there that you see it right away. If 70 million come into Shanghai, they have to go through the systems and they have to be processed, they have to be transferred from accounts A to B, and you'll only be able to use that liquidity on the next day. On the blockchain network, you can just use it right away. It comes in and you can use it right away. Also for your planning during the day with cash, if you need funding or so, you just can have it right away. You click on it and then there it is. You don't have to go through systems and transfer money from account A to B until it's available. So that gives a completely new world of intraday banking. You have structural changes, you can manage your risk differently, you have your operation more efficient, as I just described before, that you plan your liquidity during the day. You don't have to have a liquidity buffer, for example, which is in large banks very, very expensive. You have visibility on your liquidity and control. And for example, with the liquidity planning, without any buffer you need to fund, you save a lot of money. It can be 50, 100,000, 200,000 euros like this on a daily basis. So, how are we solving this in Adhara? As I said, we have different software pieces. First of all, there is the hub family, liquidity hub, pay hub, treasury for corporates hub. That's for multinational banking groups. You can do cross-border payments with that. That means you connect all your subsidiaries around the world into this net and then have the payments over this. Also the same thing technically, but financially it's a little bit different, is with the interbank payments and the fund net. You go into a consortium and trade assets or cash over the network like this. And CBDC suite, as I described in the very beginning, central bank instance issues money and participants are taking advantage of this. So the central software we produced for this is DC Commander. It's a bit of a Star Trek of the central bank digital currency stuff here. It's basically one piece of software you configure. You can configure it as a treasury tool with a rule engine. You can trade different financial instruments like payments, liquidity hubs, hedges. You can even do bonds with it. So it can be configured and you use it basically as a front end, as a treasurer on the treasurer side. So one question that always comes up is, we talked about one single blockchain net we operate on. So the interesting thing is then, can you achieve interoperability? That means if you have one consortium having one network with assets on it, can you connect to another consortium that has also assets on it? Examples would be HQLX, that's a bond trading platform that would connect to, for example, a central bank digital currency platform. And as you see there, the technical infrastructure there gives the ability to reach out to other blockchain networks. You connect via the nodes and you can do either Ether, you can your internal network, or go to external networks, and then apart from the financial transaction you have to cover, technically you can reach out to other networks. So another very complicated graphic, basically saying the solution we built is scalable and flexible. I mean, scalable and flexibility is always the words you use when you produce software. But the networks are, of course, scalable. We are not talking here about public networks, so the transaction load will not be as high as on a public network, so you can assume that everything is actually doable, and you can program different assets on it. So you can extend it functionally, and you can extend it also in terms of performance, as you can run different sorts of cluster modes and so on the side. Thank you. That was about it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Armin.
BLOCKCHANCE 2021.